Hey Houston, it's Mary Scally with Simple Elegance and Around H-Town with Simple Elegance. Thanks so much for joining us on our podcast. And today we have Heidi Eastus of Distinct Rental Property Management Services. Welcome, Heidi. How are you?
Hey, Mary. Nice. And trying to have a nice Thanksgiving. Hope everybody else is.
I know it's that week, and there's so much going on and cooking and all that stuff. And COVID. We
And
were
COVID,
going
which
to
is
tape
why we're Zooming today.
exactly. We were going to tape our podcast together at our warehouse, but COVID and Heidi was there's possibility that she may have been with somebody with COVID. So here we are back to Zoom. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. So it is our reality today, and we just have to be safe. So Heidi, tell us about you and tell us about your journey and how you got into what you're doing now and tell what you're doing because this is an amazing. We love partnering with Heidi and her team. So,
Well, and it all sort of happened through by itself, really magically, sort of, is the best way to describe it. I was working in the international airline industry for over 30 years. I'm only 10.
exactly.
And had the opportunity to take early retirement. And
Mhm.
a side thing of mine that I always had was a rental property. And when I took this early retirement opportunity, I decided that I was going to invest more in Houston, which is something I always wanted to do and didn't have the time to do it. And as I was purchasing property and leasing property, I was finding that it was really difficult to find good, reliable help, people that were experienced and could tell you what to do right, what to do, what not to do.
Mhm.
It was a very long road of learning exactly how not to do
Just a
right.
few
How do
mistakes.
you? Yes, exactly. So I took that, all of the experience that I had dealing with customer service and international, uh, sometimes dignitaries and people from all over the world, I was really able to put all of that experience in my rental properties, figuring out how to maximize the dollar on my return. And funny enough, the realtor that I had been working with and for about 2 years now, going through and vetting properties and looking at them and figuring out if it would work for me, said to me, you're getting really good at this. You should probably expand your horizons and help other people to do the same
Mhm.
thing. So her idea actually spurred that thought, and she had a couple of clients that recommended me. And over the course then of the next couple of years, it turned into, oh, wait a minute, more and more people are actually looking for help. And what's different is I never wanted to be a realtor. I always worked with realtors. And that's something that's very different from a typical property manager or a property services individual.
Mhm.
Most people try to do everything, offer everything. And I wanted to break it down into smaller pieces. It's not about having a middleman that's in the way, it's about having the middleman that actually can help and
Right.
put their expertise in and point out key factors that make the huge difference in how many days you're going to be on the market, whether you're selling, whether you're renting. It's two very different products. It's
Mhm.
very different goals that you have when you're selling versus when you're renting. You're appealing to different audiences. Well, then as this developed, and I'm still not even having my own business, I'm just helping people. It was Heidi Eastus Leasing and Property Services for a long time that spelled helps because I was just there to help. And what happened was I started finding clients would come to me that were actually leaving the country
Mhm.
home in Houston and were very concerned about a regular property management company just collecting a rent check and not taking care of their property. So I started that with very few clients, but bigger houses, bigger, a lot more money on the line for them, and making sure that their tenants were vetted completely. That's one of my one of the things I enjoy the most actually in what I do is making sure that every single leaf is overturned so that it really is someone who is going to take care of the house and not somebody that's coming in and looking to just not pay rent. Also, the people are out of the country and they need more than just a property manager that's going to email you and say whatever they're going to say. Hey, what do we do about this? A tree limb just fell through your roof. I need to have a personal relationship. Oh, Mary, you just went dark. Is that okay?
I know. Let me just move. I have to move. My light's got to come back on. Oops, there we go.
She's on a motion sensor. Is that my cue? I'm talking too much?
No, you got to love that. Lights that turn off to save energy. And if you don't move, like.
Exactly. Keep it going. So I really found a passion of mine that I loved was helping people that didn't have the time or were not currently present in Houston to help them take care of their projects. And that's actually how I met you. So really, that is about the time when I met you about 4 years ago.
Has it been 4 years now?
Yeah, at least.
Okay.
Working on a project for a friend that was trying to sell their house. It had been on the market for 3 years. Nothing was happening. And finally, they had enough confidence to let me take over the project and say, okay, let's bring in the professionals. What do we need to do here?
Right.
So brought in an expert real estate team. We brought in expert stagers, Simple-elegance, told them what needed to be done, did all of the make ready. I coordinated that whole side of it. All of the things that Mary doesn't do and that the realtors don't do, which means all of the nitty gritty.
Right. And you the things that have to be done before we can even come in, what we call the bones of the house, we can come in and make the house look pretty, but if the bones aren't in great shape, that's a waste of money now. You've got to make sure the bones, the paint is great. Anything that has to be fixed, it's got to be fixed. And you coordinate that, Heidi.
And when you work in the triangle that we do, which is the realtor knows the market. They know what the price point is. That's their specialty.
Right.
I'm not going to get involved in what is driving buyers right now.
Correct.
I'm the person who gets in there and says, I can fix that. It's easy. I've done this for 30 years. I've had all kinds of crazy things happen. I think no project is too big for me. Not a problem. And that's when Mary comes in and says, okay, in order to meet this goal that the realtor has set, this is what the house needs. This is what this project needs. Deferred maintenance, you've got to address.
Take care of it. Yeah.
And between us, the three of us, this triangle that I like to call, we have experts to do those things. We have trusted, reliable vendors that we have used. And I think that to be absolutely key is do not just Google something and hire someone.
Correct.
Big mistake, right?
Correct. I was just talking to Nikki Gomez, and that was one of the biggest things that she said. And, we have our list of tradespeople that we have over the years developed that we know we can pick up the phone call and they're like, I'm there. Doesn't matter how busy they are. They know,
Yes. And if I call you or you call me, I say, hey, Mary, the other day, Karen asked me, she says, hey, do you have a wallpaper guy? And I said, oh my gosh, you won't believe it. I have the greatest wallpaper guy.
Exactly.
Him several times. So I know he's going to show up when he says he's going to show up.
Right.
Because timing is also so critical when you're dealing with a property that is either going to go on the market or a property that is going to be leased or sold. Your days on market are so key. Our job is to get everything done on the front end. So when the person walks up to the house and they open the door, they're sold.
Right. It's not, they don't need to see all the pain points of the behind the scenes. That's our job to deal with the pain points. You deal with more of the pain points than we do, but you have to get it ready for us.
Right. But the pain points are sometimes too painful for the owner. And I think that is where I'm able to come in and say, hey, look, I've been doing this forever. I have to build a trustworthy relationship with them. Sometimes clients are hesitant on the there because I'm telling them, oh, you need to spend $10,000 on this, or you need to spend $500 on this. And they question that until they get to understand that, hey, wait a minute, there is a reason, and she's going to handle it. I don't have to do anything but say okay.
Yeah, I can write the check, and she's
And
going
I
to
give a
take care of it.
timeline, and I know how long it's going to take.
Right.
Even with COVID, we can figure that out.
Right.
And we've been real successful in doing that. So I'm not a realtor. I am not a professional property manager. I am a property services manager. So any service that my client needs, I've even gone Christmas shopping for, which makes me more of a Girl Friday, but I call it a very much of a concierge service.
Uh-huh.
If you're overseas and you have a need from something that's right here, I can find a way to get that done for you. Whether I do it myself or I know the right person to hire for them to get that job done. I coordinate everything from beginning to end until the sign goes in the yard, we're ready to go. And if it means having a tenant in your property, at that point, yes, I don't write the lease, I don't sign the lease, but I enforce the lease.
Right.
So I make sure that you have the best person in your house that's going to take care of it. I check on it, I do all the maintenance, I have a calendar scheduled for each property that I manage, be it my own or theirs, and everything is done to the letter, and the owners can be sure that they're getting personal service, not just mailing it in, not just sending, not just collecting rent and calling it a day. So that's how it, unfortunately, it still says rental property because I don't just do rental properties. Obviously, I do more diverse type of things, but I am the person that brings the real estate person, the real estate individual, the stagers, and the owners into a comfortable place to say, hey, I can let this team take over and do this for me. And you might have your next episode of something on HGTV.
Which we should have had that in the what is it, Michael's Crest, the 12,000 square foot house. And that was a situation where Shani and Karen met, I think about a year ago there.
Yes,
and
it was
like,
exactly a year ago.
It was,
yeah.
Yeah. And they were just like, no, we need to get Heidi in here first. And I think it took about 5 months to get that house ready. Was that about right?
Yeah, there were. So what happened was, this was a house that was that belonged to a prominent person in Houston who had this compound, this 12,000 square foot compound, and who had moved unexpectedly and let their family live in this place and didn't do any maintenance or anything for 2.5 years until they found out that, oh, wait a minute, you have to change light bulbs, you have to change air conditioning filters, and you have to clean, and you have to do all of these things. And they decided they wanted to sell the property, and the house was, I don't want to say it was in ruins because it wasn't, but it was neglected,
right,
completely. To the
very
point,
well lived in.
Yeah, very well lived in, and the owners really didn't even know what was going on at the home. So when your team went out to see it, it was, oh wow, overwhelming. It's so big.
Yeah.
What do you do? So you called me, I came over and we walked the property, and it took me twice because I got lost the first time.
I actually just have been there for the first time, was on Friday, and I'm like, where are we? Like, how do I get to the garage? Like, I kept on getting into the kids' bedrooms,
Yeah, wait, there's 4 staircases? What's happening?
And none of them connect.
Yeah, until you get your bearings about, how do you do all that? So I was able to get with the owner and go over my proposal of, I wrote down everything that your team had suggested and everything that the realtors had suggested, put it together for the owner in a package where they could say yes or no. Sorry.
That's okay.
That's my little Godzilla right there. Where I said to them, here's a timeline. Here's what I think your upfront costs are going to be. And here's the difference of what's going to happen if we sell it like it is versus if we actually go through with this. Mm-hmm. To tell you that this was a success story is actually an understatement.
Correct.
Because what happened was we had an 8-week timeline. It was just before COVID started. So in the beginning, we were fine. And an investor stepped up and said they were interested in the property. So at that point, we stopped the make ready and the rehab. And just to put some numbers out there so people can understand the difference, because I think if you look at it on a big picture, you actually really do see the value of fixing up your house properly with people that know what to tell you what to do and getting it done is so essential to maximizing your
Versus just walking away and selling it to an investor
and
and they're
selling
going to
it, just
do it
walking
and
away.
then
I don't
they're
want
going to
to
make the
deal with
money.
it.
Right.
Well, the owners didn't have to deal with it.
Right.
They could have put a sign in the yard and sold it that day for $1.2 million. That's what they were going to get for it. Okay, a property that they paid over $2 million for back in the day at the
Right.
height of the real estate market. So fast forward, whatever the investors were doing, their funding didn't go through.
Okay.
So that fell through, and I was called, and in literally 24 hours needed to be back on the job, back on the timeline that we originally had set, and move forward as quickly as possible. So with that slowdown of probably 4 to 6 weeks, we were able to have the house done just before summer, even with COVID. There was over $100,000 worth of work to do in that
Yes.
house, but it was deferred maintenance. It wasn't improvements. It was the things that you're talking about, Mary, making sure there's no leaks in the home, right? Painting, cleaning, redoing things that were done poorly so that it shows well, and making sure people can see that this is not an overwhelming home. When you first walked into it, it felt neglected. So you were going to get 1.2. Well, guess what? The surprise at the end of the day was Simple-elegance came in, and between my part of doing what I did and when they came in and did it, it was not the same house.
Correct.
And $100,000 sounds like a lot of money, but on a $1 million project, that is not a high percentage when you look at how much they ended up selling it for.
Right.
And folks, you got to know, they sold it. They had 3 buyers within the first week for $1,600,000. So this is not a joke. $100,000 got them over $400,000 more.
That's a good return on investment.
That is what I love to do for people. I saw that as wow, because you really see the numbers.
Right.
It's
right.
Smaller properties, people maybe don't see the value as much, but it's still there.
It is because this
Oh.
is your biggest investment. You know, no matter what the price is, this is generally your biggest investment. And so, you know, to put in maybe on a $200,000 house, maybe you put in $5,000 to $10,000, but what is that going to take you to on the level? You know,
And how many days on market,
right?
Whether you're selling or renting. I've run into this myself. I have used property management companies on my properties in the past because I couldn't get to them or they were not located in a decent area, only to find that they didn't even care about how many days you're on the market. And I'm gonna do this myself. I can do this way better.
Right.
Because 1 month on the market is 1 month of no income.
Exactly.
And
in expenses. It's 1 month of expenses. Okay, you're still paying mortgage. You're still paying the lawn to be done. You're still paying utilities. You're still paying, you know, and if you have another home that you're living in, now we're talking 2, you know,
Right.
And so everything is doubled. And our goal is really to get you on the market and off the market as fast as possible.
And it's okay to say no from the client's perspective, from your perspective, and from mine. You know, sometimes you walk into a project and it doesn't make sense one way or the other for whatever reason. I think it's also important that people understand that getting your house ready and putting in a little extra money doesn't mean they have to have a headache to do it.
Right.
And I think that's people's biggest fear. There's so many companies out there right now that say, we'll buy your house without the hassle. They're buy your house at 25% less than you can sell it, and we will take that off your hands.
Right.
You just say, guys, come in, do your magic. We will get you the price. And our fees are nothing when you look at the difference in value of get out of it at the end. And so every single project that I've done with Mary has been amazingly successful. Looking forward to one that's getting ready to come on the market here before the beginning of the year.
I know, we're excited. We're so excited when it gets turned over to us because we're the last ones on the list, you know.
And I get
But
to tell you, hey, Mary, you want to hear this story?
exactly,
You won't
exactly,
believe what happened. Yeah.
exactly.
But
But
the owner is like, hey, thank you so much. I didn't have to deal with this.
right, I didn't have to do anything. Everything was
Correct.
taken care of. Heidi deals with everything, you know, so it's like she speaks clearly with the owner. This is what to expect and this is what it's going to cost. But, you know, on the other side of it, you're going to make so much more money. And that's really, it's an investment. That's what we're looking for, is to get the
Exactly.
best
And
return
taking the headache out of
out of
it,
it.
out of the
Right.
equation. I can tell you, if I'm doing it for myself, for my own house, I know how it feels
Mm-hmm.
doing it either for myself. I
Yeah.
so much would rather do it for somebody
Well,
else.
and also trying to live through any kind of construction and stuff like that. Yuck. You
Yeah,
know, that's
not
not
fun.
fun. Right.
Not
And
fun at all. Or if you're just moving to a new home or you're moving out of state and your house, you're leaving it there, well, who's going to do all of that? You
right,
cannot just put a sign in the yard and expect to get top dollar.
right.
It takes the minute you leave the house, the last thing you're thinking of is cleaning it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You don't want to go in there and deep clean that stove and that refrigerator and get all the grime and things that happen when you move furniture. You don't want
Right.
to have to deal with that. Holes in the walls from pictures, all of these things. And if it's a rental property, potentially other issues as well.
Mm-hmm.
There is deferred maintenance sometimes when you come into a new project and it has been tenant occupied for quite some time. We've dealt with that before too. But none of that scares me. And I actually love getting into the nitty gritty. It's what I did forever. So it's kind of what I know. So I just keep doing it. So I am super excited to be working more this year than I actually ever have. And it's been fantastic. I think it's a great niche because I help the realtors with what they can't do. I help you with what you can't do. I help the owners with what they don't want to do.
Right.
And
Right.
all
You know,
together
you have to look at this
wins.
like on a real estate side, the realtor side of it. Okay. They get paid to list and sell houses. Okay. So if they're going and dealing with the maintenance on a house, they're
Yeah.
not out doing what they get paid to do, you know?
Just find you somebody to buy your house.
Exactly. You know, and to have somebody like Heidi in there that's making sure everything is getting done, that's what she's paid to do, you know? So you want to
And so then
find the
they get the
people that
phone
are
call.
being paid to do this
Right.
and this is their focus. You know, yes, there's so many different parts of real estate. Like on the staging side.
Everything from the lock boxes that they put on the property, and then if something happens and it's a vacant property, I mean, we'll get calls sometimes in the middle of the night. Oh, somebody walked by and saw a door open, or something happened. There was a storm, a tree fell. There was, I mean, you all
Right.
know, right? If you have water running, oh wait, something flooded,
A
something this,
gasket blew on a toilet.
things that happen. Yeah,
Right.
to be ready to go because
Um,
really time for that.
Exactly, exactly. So how it's kind of interesting. I think it's funny, like the businesses that have flourished during COVID have just been things that you just really wouldn't think of, you know. But how has COVID affected your business?
Well, on different levels, different ways.
Hmm.
So, first of all, obviously, when there was a no eviction policy that came across, that stopped me in my tracks because I had so many homes of mine, rental properties, and ones that I also managed for individuals that are not my properties. Right away, I said, okay, I'm going to have to be proactive here because this could send the wrong message.
Hmm.
No evictions, all of a sudden, somebody might decide to say, oh, I can't pay rent. Somebody might lose their job and somebody might get sick. There were so many things so many unknowns that were happening.
Right.
I felt if I don't do something right now, all of my clients, including myself, are going to start to get a little bit nervous about
Mhm.
is the rent money coming in? Are people going to buy my house? What is going to happen with the market now? So I went ahead and reached out to every single one of my clients with a look. I realized that this is a very
Are you there? Heidi, are you there? Heidi? Are you there? Oops. Uh-oh. Oops. Are you there? Huh. Heidi, you there?
yes,
Oh, there
it's
you
coming.
go.
I don't know
Okay.
what happened.
Okay. You just froze.
A little COVID.
I know.
Ay, ay, ay.
I know. Welcome
So,
to 2020.
exactly. So long story short, I felt like if I just let it happen, I didn't know what was going to be the situation. So for me, communication was essential, and it was a different type of communication than I'm normally used to doing. Are you okay? First of all,
True.
are you okay? Do you need help? What is your situation? And if there's something that comes up, you need to just reach out to me right away and we will figure something out. We don't know how long this is going to take. We don't know. Of course, all of my clients were completely going, oh no, what do we do? What do we do? And from that, literally was the best thing to do. There were a couple of cases where people had lost their position, didn't know what they were going to do. They were furloughed, laid off, but were still able to contribute and make their payments. And we worked something out exactly, according to what the guidelines were for this situation, and didn't have to do any evictions later on as a result of working with the clients.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a little bit scary for everybody because to say evictions are not allowed is a free pass for everyone, whether or not it's valid, because
Right.
these things occur in real life anyway. But to have investors, for whatever reason they have rental property, be it because they've moved for a different job or because they want to be an investor, to have to bear that burden was really unexpected. So worked through it and haven't had any major issues. Had to definitely communicate and keep the communication
Right.
guidelines open with the customers. And I think it was really well received and appreciated on their end as well, especially those that had some issues in the beginning.
Right. And and working, I think that's the best thing is like acknowledge there is an opportunity here. There is an issue here. But even if you pay $5, like let's just get that conversation going. What can
Exactly.
you pay? We had to do that
Yes.
with our service and supplies, because there was a period that
Correct.
nobody was really going into homes. And so we had to say, okay, you know what? We want to work with you too. Yes, your service and supply is coming up, but what if we do a 50% reduction for this month? Will that help
Correct.
you? And
Right.
I mean, that's just good business. But
Exactly.
it's having those, we call it our queen bee, the clear, compassionate communication with your clients and
Which is
acknowledge
exactly where I come from.
know?
It's exactly how I was trained,
Right.
Right? Trained that way, with really being positive, good, clear communication, always work with integrity, and your client is valuable.
Yes, exactly.
And the reputation of your business is totally based on them working with you and having a positive result. I
Exactly.
don't do advertising. I'm word of mouth only. I haven't had time to do that.
Which is awesome. I'm like, I still have to advertise, but like it's been a different year of advertising. Normally we are, doing classes in title companies and mortgage companies every week. And not this year because it's been COVID. We had to learn how to do it on Zoom,
And I think the business model always changes a little bit too, based on what's happening.
Right.
The Michael's Crest story, the one that we dealt with, actually they circled back around because the buyers actually loved so much everything that you did, they wanted to buy everything.
I know. So right now, literally, they're coming in for Thanksgiving, and they hired another concierge service that was just there to literally decorate the house. And he was like, he had 3 weeks to do this, and he's like, where am I going
Yeah.
to get furniture from? And he's like, I got to get in touch with that staging company. And so we had all this like living room set up in our warehouse and, like all these vignettes and stuff. And two of the owners came in and they're like, yep, 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 yep. So we're finishing up today. We
Exactly.
did it on Friday and today. Took some
Isn't
more
that
furniture.
amazing?
I
So
know.
it's like you have to just look at how can I fix this problem? Well, there was a
Right.
perfect fix in a situation that you didn't see coming.
Yeah, no. And I'm like, talk about the Lord's blessing on that. It's like we were driving to Dallas and we're going to a conference. And I get this phone call and I'm like, oh, I'll call him back. And definitely was needed to talk to Karen. And I'm like, Karen, take this phone call. She's in front of me and, I'm in the back seat. And she gets off the phone and she goes, I think this might be real. And I mean,
Exactly.
and then Jay, he's like, you know what? They have 3 houses in Alabama that they want me to do, and he's like, I'm only doing it with you guys. And I'm like, okay, let's fly us out there in
And
January,
why
and
not?
we're gonna put this whole thing together. We can make this happen. We have the
Exactly.
resources, and it's that
Exactly.
partnership of working together, and not saying, oh my gosh, this is so unbearable. I'm like, no. I mean, we
Right.
had it done in 2 days. I mean, pretty
Exactly.
much everything was done on Friday, but they were just
But that's
taking back
unheard
some more.
of.
It is.
And
It is.
it was such a think outside the box reaction
Right.
to today and what we all deal with. And I
Right.
think that's people get frustrated about a problem and it's like, well, call us. We will find a solution.
Right.
Have
Like when you
people
own,
that have the answers for you.
right, when you own over 50 houses worth of furniture and accessories, you can help out.
There you go.
So, but who knew that would be the answer to us, to
Yeah, I
the
couldn't have
question.
imagined that would have been it a
And
year ago. I would have said no.
right, right. But this guy, he's just like, oh my gosh, I can breathe. I can breathe. I
Yes,
can go to bed at night because this is
it's
already done.
handled.
There's a team, and I love
Exactly.
how that, we work all together. Yes, we have different companies, but it's like we have the situation. Heidi, here you go, babe.
We
We
just
need
walked in.
you
It is
in
not
next.
ready for the furniture yet.
Yeah, no, we need Heidi, and the realtors love it when they can just say, "Thank you, Heidi. You take care of this, and we'll be back when
Which
it's."
was great. And they were actually, the other thing
And
too was,
you're doing another project for them,
right. And the clients that they're working with, these particularly were out of state. Other ones have been out of the country. I'm working with some folks right now that are actually in Spain. And the realtor doesn't have time to
No,
communicate with them. So I have no problem doing that because that is what I do. It's my core
right,
business. So if you have a question or you need something answered, a potential buyer has a question or a concern or what have you, especially if the home goes under contract, there's all those other little pieces that an owner normally takes care of on site.
right, right.
Can't do that
When you're
if
not
they're
there, yeah. And do
so
they
no
want to do
problem.
that? It's like, no, you can hire somebody who will take it and love it like their own property, and
Exactly.
like.
Which is what I do.
And what I love about us is that we all keep ourselves in the loop, So like whenever you're sending communication, you're also involving the realtor. If we come up with a situation, realtor is right involved in that. You guys are involved, and it's again, you're hiring a team. You're not hiring just one person. You're hiring a team
Correct.
of professionals to get this done for you.
And I had questions when we first started that large project. I had questions on, well, what exactly did Simple-elegance want me to do here?
Right.
I wasn't the one making those calls because that wasn't my wheelhouse. That's not the design aspect of it, isn't me. But if you tell me you want this and this color and this size and this shape,
Right.
I've got it.
Yeah.
I'll get it. It'll be there tomorrow.
Exactly. And that's, like we talk color all the time because that's what we deal with all the time. But this
Right,
house
right.
was like, it was so dark and like there was just black everywhere. And we're like, we've got to tone this down, and yes, we still left a lot of black trim and it looks
But
beautiful
it
now.
turned out looking,
It's so elegant.
you turned something that really was not appealing
Right.
unless you were very specific
And that's
by
in the
specific
real estate world, you
style.
do not want to find that one person that wants this. You want to
No,
find
you want to
the
appeal
broad
to the more
amount.
broader, right,
Exactly.
to the broader audience. And it's amazing. I wish you could post up some of the before and after
I
pictures.
know. I mean, it's
On your website so
there
people
will
can
be
go to it.
there will be some befores and afters coming up on, I'm sure, on like Facebook and stuff. And again, it just is amazing the difference and what they got, the return on investment that they got, and the new owners. Again, it was a house that was like, it was more of a multi-generational house or multi-families, and this is what happened. It's multi-families that bought the house. I think it's two families actually, but they have business in Texas, they have business in Alabama, they have business all over the place. And so this is their Texas home, that it makes more sense because, you know, there's the kids and the this and the that. It's got a basketball court, it's got a beautiful pool area, it's right on the golf course. I mean, the entertainment set areas in this house. Oh my gosh, it's got a grand ballroom with a pool table and a foosball table. It's got two theaters. Like it just kind of goes on and on and on. But for, you know, those that do business, there's, I think, 3 offices, so that worked out for everybody. There is a conference area that they can come together and get work done. So it really was the perfect house for the new buyers, and they're so excited about being there. So we're excited about them moving in, and I guess Jay's going to do it also. They're coming in for 2 days at Christmas, so then he has to decorate it for Christmas. But you know, that's what we get to do, and I love that every day is different because you never know what that is going to be on the other side of the phone.
Exactly.
So, what have been some of your biggest challenges in your industry?
Well, the biggest challenges, Mary, honestly, are probably the same ones that you deal with. The first one is always learning the hard way who you can and can't work well with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes things go wrong. Disasters happen. Harvey, that was, you know, we were working on several projects during that, and almost every contractor just took off.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's finding or having to wait a little bit for right person to be able to do the job and finish the job and do it well. That was always a little bit of a struggle. And now, of course, we have supply chain issues. That this project I'm working on right now, there was a shortage of air conditioners and we needed to replace air conditioners. And, you know, you can't show property in the middle of summer without air conditioner.
Not in Houston, Texas.
But, you know, you have to figure out, okay, well, how about we change the air conditioner we're putting in? What options do we have? And we were able to figure out what we could do and tweak the existing system to be able to actually come up with a better answer for the client that actually ended up being less expensive and got it done right away. So you have to figure out, sometimes there's nothing you can do. Supply chain, you're waiting. Anybody's bought a Peloton bike? You buy it all excited to work out and they tell you got to wait 2 months. You know, it's like,
Again, it goes back to what's thriving in COVID and what's not, you know, it's like,
right. What's COVID? What's not COVID? Why is this happening? And getting the customer to work with the realtor to understand, okay, well, we can put house on market today because this wasn't able to meet its initial deadline, for not because people were lazy, not because people aren't working hard, but because there literally was a crack in the supply chain or whatever it was that happened. So the realtor then makes that call. You know, what is the benefit versus the loss at this point? So that's, again, teamwork, all working together. What's the best solution here? And everyone with their level of expertise will have the best answer at the end of the day. So I think that those challenges are also pivotal learning. I think a day for me is a great day when I can say, wow, I can't believe I just learned something like this has never happened before. And everything that I've done, how has this not happened, right? So.
But you learn other ways to do things, and you know what? And it's being flexible, you know, and like using resources and talking and learning, and exactly, that's the best thing.
And having someone say, it's going to be okay, we can do this, and actually being able to deliver that promise. I think that's so important. And I'm not going to make a promise I can't keep. People will tell me, well, what's the timeline? Can you get it done in 2 weeks? This is a huge challenge, because 2 weeks, you saw that movie, I think, right? The money.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not my answer.
Yeah.
I
Because
look at it like, okay, how do we bake a cake? What's the recipe? What's the preparation time? What's the cooking time? And then what's the frosting time? Mary, you're the frosting.
right. Right. We
Your
are.
team does the frosting. So I look
Exactly.
at the whole thing. How long does it take? What is this recipe? And at the end of the day, how good is that cake?
Mhm.
Well, that's what our goal is. So sometimes we have to change it up a little
Mhm.
bit between, but at the end of the day, if we can get it done to the best of our ability and have people understand that we love what we do, we would not be doing this. We could be in a corporate building. There's nothing wrong with that. Working for a big corporation, I did it for a long time. Right now, absolutely love this because I feel like I'm
Right.
helping people, and those challenges are rewarding when they're solved.
Yeah.
When you find a way to figure it out, to streamline it, to fix it for the client, and
And
make it.
I think what you said, you have to look at good, better, and best. Can everybody do best? No. But can you do good? And good is going to be better than nothing at all, you know?
Exactly.
And so you have to look at what is right for you and what is right for your budget and what are the effects going to be, you know? And
Exactly.
so, and that's
And
what we
people
want
that
to
have
work
done
with you.
Exactly. And the people that have had experience with with a similar situation or not will give their 2 cents in, and then the owner ultimately has to make the decision. It's their.
Right.
I don't want to spend people's money that doesn't need to be spent.
Correct.
We're not looking to do that.
Yeah, we're looking at making
Are looking
investment. We want you to invest to make money, you know.
Correct.
And there are times that we've said to people, you know what, really, with what your budget is, the most important thing is to paint. Okay, let's paint. You know, yes, staging would help you, but you only have this amount of money to spend. That's got to be spent on paint. And that's,
Yes.
you know, do that. And, you know, and I think that's really where you have to, that's something my dad always taught me as a veterinarian. He's like, you know, I learned that I have to give people option A, option B, and option C. And then let them make the best decision for their situation.
Exactly. And that's also how I present when I'm with a client. There is option A, option B, and option C. And they get to choose. I don't do contracts in my business. I felt like that was something I didn't like. You have to sign an agreement with someone for 12 months and then they're not happy.
Mhm.
I'm not happy. If I'm signing something for 12 months and then I'm stuck and I have to pay to get out of this agreement, I'm like, no.
Right.
Here's the deal. I represent you. I work with you. I work for you. If you're not happy with me, you just tell me and we're done. I do not do long-term contracts because like what I provide is worth what they're paying for it. And if they don't like it, they can say, okay, done. And I don't want them to ever think that they have this contract looming over their head.
Right.
No other, as far as I know, no other property management company will do that.
Yeah, I'm not sure I've ever heard of that. So.
No. 30 days notice and we're done.
Yeah.
But it also gives me the ability to say, okay, we've come at if there's a crossroads with somebody who can't make a decision on what they want to do or what they don't want to do, the owner ultimately makes that decision.
Right.
And I've never had to deal with that. The only time I've lost a client up to current day is when they've sold their property and there is no more work for me to do.
Well, that's a good thing.
Right. My work here is done.
Yeah. So, what's the best advice anybody has given you?
Well, you'll laugh at this one. It was actually in 1988, just before I moved to Houston.
Okay.
I was living in Los Angeles and I had just finished college and was working, like I said, for the airline industry and was going to be transferred somewhere in the United States. There was a choice of 3 places: New York, Alaska, and Houston.
Okay, slight changes in temperatures.
Very different as far as, young single female moving for a management position somewhere. And I didn't know anything about Houston. Like literally, I didn't even know where it was on the map. I knew where Dallas was, but I hadn't really paid attention. It just wasn't in my forefront. And I was just talking to some of my mentors that I worked with. And one of them said to me, Heidi, if you moved to Houston, you could buy houses. And I said, houses? I love houses. You could afford to be a homeowner in Houston, and then you could buy houses and have rental property. And I thought, he's crazy. I really did think he was nuts. And then turns out they didn't even give me a choice. After I had those 3 places, they said, oh, by the way, they want you in Houston, so you're going to Houston. And I was only supposed to be here for 2 years. So
and how many years?
Do the math.
Yeah. I'm not sure I can count that high. No.
So I would say that was pretty darn good advice, because not only did it fuel my long career here in Houston, but I actually came to grow and love this town, and doing very well with my own business that I love, doing exactly what I love. So it's
awesome.
worked very well, even though it took me a long time to get here.
You know what? Sometimes it's worth the wait to get here at the time that's right for you,
Yes,
and
exactly.
and that's so funny, because the last question I was going to ask you, what do you love about Houston?
Oh, I think I kind of answered
I
that.
think you did. It's a great place to
I never
be.
wanted to leave. I got here and I just thought, I love everything about living here.
Yeah.
I travel a lot. Great vacation.
It's easy to get in and out of Houston.
Easy to get in and out of. I love the diversity of people from all over the world. That was something that was one of my most favorite things working at the international airline. I worked for Air France for so long, and we met people all the time from all over the world, from all different walks of life, and you had to deal with delicate, difficult situations every single day. Got to meet people from all these different cultures, and I just sucked it up like a sponge. So for me, a place like this, just absolutely, I flourish in.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of person that, every single person that I socialize with outside, I don't think there's one group that is all from one location or one place. I just love that. I love how Houston really brings people in from all over, and how everybody can get along and be successful in this town. I mean, it's amazing. And it's also very affordable compared to, let's say, Alaska or New York.
Exactly. What you get here is crazy. I remember when we first moved here, and my son was like embarrassed because we had a large house. And I'm like, honey, it's not because we have money. It's because of where we moved from that we were able to afford, and, but your money goes so much farther in Houston.
Well, and that's funny that you say that, because one of the things that would happen is I used to always deal with the flight crews, the captains and co-pilots and all of that. And they got to know me as the girl that owned houses. So every time they would come in, they would say, so how many houses do you have today, Heidi? Like as if I was this, mega millionaire or something. And I was like, probably less than what you have in
one house. Right.
Your
Exactly.
little pied-à-terre, or your little tiny apartment, it's just different here.
It is. It is.
But it was always funny and humorous that the perception is kind of shocking for people that are living in places that are extremely expensive.
Right. And they have a little matchbox house that they've paid like 3 times more than we've paid for a large house here.
Right. And I'm originally from Southern California. So
there you go.
This was like, oh, are you serious? People would tell me, you're crazy. Why are you buying that? You're crazy. And I'm thinking, really? Because, back in the 80s in Houston, when there was the oil crisis and all of that, everything, it was like a ghost town when I first got here. So,
and a great place to invest at the time.
People were kind of standoffish about, whoa, what are you doing?
Right.
But no pain, no gain, right?
That's right. Heidi, how do people get in touch with you?
They get in touch with me on my cell phone or via email. My cell phone number is 832-764-2706. There's no charge to call. I give free advice all the time, not a problem. I love to talk about houses and real estate in general. I probably know just about every house on har.com in the world. I'm obsessed, have been for years. And the other way is through my email, which is just like it sounds, distinction, the word distinction, rpms@gmail.com, or heastus@gmail.com, or call Simple-elegance, and they sure
Look
know how
at
to get.
you. Awesome. Heidi, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for joining us on the podcast today. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Mary. You too. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Love you, girl. Bye.
Making Houston beautiful.
Amen.